Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show today. But anyway, folks, let me tell you. You know who just tell me they're happy? I started talking and my telephone came on. You know, the voice is always listening. We have to be careful with these things. Remember, if you have all those voice activated where you can ask Alexa or where you can ask, let's see, go Google or whatever it's called. Hey, Google, you know, remember, oh, there you go. See, he's answering me now. Remember, folks, these things are always listening. And if they're always listening, no matter what the people tell you, no matter what the corporatocracy tells you, there's a good possibility that everything that you're talking about could actually, and Siri, that's right, can actually be recorded. Welcome aboard, AVQ. Welcome aboard, Michael Ratnen. We are going to have a great show for you today. Before I get started, though, no, let me get started, and then I'm going to do that because I have some fun stuff for you guys. Anyhow, vamos a comenzar. Let's get busy, and it goes like this. Title of the show today is Conservative Movement a Fraud? Obama voters' kids bring the win? America can look like this. Justin Sheppard, young people will be voting sometimes. That's what he told me. I interviewed him. This is a young man I've known from he was a very young, elementary school. And I interviewed him a few weeks ago. And I said, you know, when I processed that interview, we had a lot of dead spots in it because everything is done over Zoom and the connection to that particular day wasn't all that good. But we did it. So what I'm saying now is that young people are going to be voting. Sometimes we just need some good stories that prove humanity reigns. And conservative movement and Bannon frauds, are they? We're going to find out. I don't normally read early, but Rudnin says, Egberto, what you're suggesting, the required amount of computing power to monitor everyone's speech would be astronomical. No, that's not what's happening, though. You see, each of the speech monitoring occurs locally. So when you ask to go ahead and, like when you have these pods, right? I write all these kinds of software. That's how I know this stuff. I also write firmware for these kinds of equipment. I did that for decades, But anyhow, a lot of the post-processing, this stuff is distributed processing, right? All of the processing is done locally, but they are uploaded to the system to go ahead and do kind of a analysis of the data. So supposedly you give them permission to do that or not. The thing, though, is given that they have control of that device in some fashion, in other words, if you do a query, hey Siri, answer me this question, they submit some sort of a query over the line, over the internet to some server. And that server has your patterns, that server has your information, and that server has the ability as well to take whatever voice it is that you're doing. So, I mean, there are various methods, etc. But that's not the subject, Rodney. Why are you getting me into engineering? I've left that life. I'm now completely into political activism. Michael Rodney, why are you doing this to me, my brother? Anyhow, continuing. So Steve Bannon was arrested for his private build the wall scam. Lefties have always known the entire commercial conservative movement was a fraud. Joy and Reid made me smile. The joy that Joy displayed at the DNC was infectious, and I'm going to play that. That just made my day. And a lot of people I wish could see the joy that certain things can bring into all of our whole family. When I'm talking about family, I'm talking about the entire country. Okay? Hallie Jackson, along with her co-worker Katie Tur, gives me hope with their understanding of privilege and the manner in which oppression is manifested in America, it makes them much better journalists. What we need now. If you remember yesterday, I showed you the Katie Tur piece where she was going at it with Michael Steele, and it was like bang, a bell rang when she said, "Oh, those people that 10% differential that think Trump, or more than 10% that think Trump is better for the economy, how could they come to that point?" And then after doing her own thinking, she said, "Could it be that Trump being better for the economy doesn't really speak about the economy, but something else?" And it was like, bingo! You saw Michael Steele smile. Like, Katie, that's why I love you. Because you decide that when you think on your own, you see the realities out there. And if you are worried about whether young people will go to the vote or not, just listen to Justin Sheppard, a Houston, Texas area young professional and media entrepreneur. Anyhow, we're going to get started right now. And the way I want to get started, folks, is to show you something. But before I show you, I want to ask you all, please, my brothers and my sisters, please share these programs. We talk a whole lot of stuff here that is important, and we kind of give it a direction and some time that it's not going to get over mainstream media. So I ask you so kindly, share if you're on YouTube, share if you're on Facebook, share if you're on Periscope, share if you're on Twitch, share, and that's how we do it. Anyway, everybody know what QAnon is, right? QAnon, that they think that Donald Trump, somehow these people think Donald Trump is going to save the world from pedophiles and people that are killing all of the kind of stuff. And you would think an election is coming by where you want to be the sane one, where you want to tell the rest of America that somehow something is wrong with Biden's head. Oh, Biden is crazy. Biden is getting slow. So how do you explain this? Please tell me, folks.
Well, I don't know much about the movement other than I understand they like me very much. I've heard these are people that love our country.
The crux of the theory is this belief that you are secretly saving the world from this satanic cult of pedophiles and cannibals. Does that sound like something you are behind?
Well, I haven't heard that, but is that supposed to be a bad thing or a good thing? I mean, if I can help save the world from problems, I'm willing to do it.
I want to ask you. I really want to ask, are any of my conservatives on yet? I have my conservatives every day. Are any of you guys on yet? I need to speak to you, my brothers, my conservative brothers and sisters. Now is when I need you most. Lee Grant. Okay, Lee says, in 2016, Trump voters were dismissed as deplorables. Them should have found out that insulting half the electorate is not a good election strategy. In 2020, Trump supporters are dismissed as cultists and sycophants. It is possible among leftists that some could support Trump and not be a cultist or sycophant. I think so. In fact, I've said so, Mr. Grant. And you've heard me come on here and defend that. You've heard me defend that, but this is not what we're talking about right now. I want to ask you, Mr. Grant, do you find a problem with Trump somehow, the statement that he made about QAnon? I don't understand this, but we're going to go even further into that with the next subject. Because the next subject talks about the conservative movement and how they have been taken advantage of, maligned for a long time. You see, I do not hate my conservative brothers and sisters, my right-wing brothers and sisters at all. I want to read something from the Daily Kos. It says, and this has to do with Bannon, right? The question is, the obvious answer is to the Republican Party just one big scam is yes. Since the modern Republican Party and its Fox News infrastructure exists just to convince ordinary people that handing over billions more to billionaires is the real American way. But in a more specific sense, is it all just tacky fraud and scams all the way down? And then you start to take a look at all those people that are doing their shows, right? You look at Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity goes out and he sells a whole lot of stuff to people who have trust in him. Because remember, that's where it starts. If you take a look at, by the way, my new book, which is It's Worth It, I talk about establishing a certain type of trust, right? Establishing trust with people. And when people trust you, they also trust what you're suggesting to them, because we don't all have, you're as listeners, this is all that I do 24/7. Activism, reading, researching, etc. A lot of people have to go to work every day, take care of their kids, cook, doing all these other things. When they find somebody or some entity that they trust them. And as such, if they say, oh, if you buy gold, if you buy silver, or if you buy these certificates of gold and silver now, it's a good thing because something is going to happen that really requires you to buy these things. So why don't you do it? And because you have established a level of trust with these people, you do it. And that's what we find on the right? Take a look at Glenn Beck, Sean Hannity's website. Look at all these guys' websites. They're peddling these militia things. They're peddling food for, storing food for years, for the when the race war start. All these kinds of things they're doing. And the people that follow them, the people that have trust in them, do these things, and they make a lot of money. Now, Trump starts up this wall thing, the others are dangerous. And then you have a whole industry that comes around that. We need to somehow be able to control those people. We need to be able to, and then the gun industry gets a lot of money because you scare people to death about those immigrants that are killing Americans, which is not the case, of course. Americans kill Americans more so than immigrants by a landslide. And by the way, Americans overseas kill foreigners, kill the people. So it's no difference, right? But that is what happens. So we drum up the arms industry by saying, oh, you got to be scared of those immigrants, and those immigrants are coming over, and then you go find a place where you have a whole bunch of people marching from Guatemala, El Salvador, not Costa Rica, that's pretty stable. Costa Rica and Panama, pretty stable. Nicaragua and Guatemala, you have all those people marching up the Pan American Highway, and you go ahead, and it looks like a lot. It may be 100 people, right? But they make the camera angles look like a lot. The caravan has begun. And they bring all those people over, and Americans realize, oh, and then Donald Trump goes ahead and he says, and we're going to be invaded. And then Steve Bannon goes ahead and says, we need to build a wall. And we are going, since those Democrats don't want to give you money for the wall, we are going to build a wall. And all you right-wing people, please give us money to build a private wall. And we're going to do it. And it happened with the arms industry, with the NRA. It has happened with Steve Bannon build a wall thing, and over again. So here we go. This is an important sentence from the Daily Kos article. After all, the last month, let me check one thing here. Here we go. That's what I want. Yeah, okay, here we go. After all, the last month has seen the New York Attorney General move to disband the NRA after showing that top executives funneled millions in their pockets and wait, let me finish that sentence. Think about that. A lot of you NRA members, you, just like I give to several different 501c3s or C4s, right? You give the money, you expect to have good stewards. Yes, the executives in that particular nonprofit, they're going to get a penny or two as a salary. But you don't expect them to have big-time vacations and skim millions of dollars of your or hard-earned dollars. You attack the government for saying taxing, even though taxes build roads and all of that. But these these 501c3s, they scare you to death, and after they scare you to death, based on your fears, they have you give them money. So the NRA takes your money, right? It takes your money. And then all those guys, La Pereira and all these guys, go ahead and make millions of your hard-earned dollars. So New York said, we're going to disband you. So we're suing you to be disbanded. Then we have Jerry Falwell Jr. He's a Mr. Donald Trump defender. Where is he? Where is he spending his money? He's spending his money on a rich person's yacht where he's messing around with somebody else's wife. Think about these things, right? Then we have, of course, continue with that article, Steve Bannon gets arrested for taking millions of that money to pay off his own debts and pay off other people because you gave him money because you so hated those immigrants. You so hated those immigrants that if those damn Democrats are not going to build that wall, going to invest in building that wall for Master Trump. And Steve Bannon is going to collect the money. And of course, now that he's arrested because they've been proven that he's a scammer, guess what happens? Donald Trump said, hey, I don't know. I thought it was kind of a bluster anyway. I kind of thought that was too boisterous anyway. So, I don't know. Of course he doesn't know. Yes, he knows, of course. Then, of course, Donald Trump, this has been standard modus operandi for Donald Trump. So all of you guys that says, no, so I want to talk to my brother here, because you should be my ally on this. Welcome aboard, Ilan Diaz. Let's see. Ilian Diandra, welcome aboard. I want to talk specifically to Lee Grant, because Lee Grant, you have a point, and I make that point in my book, It's Worth It. Now, how to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors. And Lee Grant, you should get my book. Go get my book, Lee Grant, because I do respect everybody, including the other side. But at some time, we just have to come out and tell the truth, right? And I am not telling the truth to call the people on the other side deplorables. I'm telling the truth to tell you I understand that you've been fooled, you've been hoodwinked into believing a whole lot of stuff. You've been hoodwinked over the years in believing that lowering tax rates can actually make enough income to cover the tax rates that you lower, following some crazy thing known as the Laffer curve. You see, I've studied all of this stuff in economics, and we all know the Laffer curve is a laugh. It's a laugh. All real economists know the Laffer curve is a laugh. The guy drew this stuff on the back of a napkin to say, oh, we can actually sell this. We always knew that made absolutely no sense. So, but they fooled you into believing that these things have value. They want you to believe that they have value or they're based in fact. They're not. There's a reason why every single Republican administration since Reagan has left us in debt much larger, has crashed the economy because their philosophy is not based in science. It fails. Period. It always fails. Just like Trump is failing now, and for the sake of the country, I mean, Trump was a cataclysmic failure compared to Bush 2. Bush at least didn't fail until 2008, right when he was about to leave office. Trump is failing right at 75% of his administration. And if he were elected, given his level of intellect and not knowing anything, somebody who can be working with QAnon, America can't expect anything of value from this guy. Can't. So anyhow, as it turns out, when you take a look at what's going on then, yes, the conservative movement has been a fraud for a long time. Glenn Beck, all these guys, they make money, they scare you to death first, and after they scare you to death, they collect because they start selling you the things that they scared you about. So you buy the guns to protect yourself against the immigrants. You buy all that food to protect you against the race war so that you can go in your bunker when the race war begins. They sell you the stock because if the Democrats take over, the economy is going to go crashing, so buy these gold stocks. They always have something to sell you just because they scare you, in as much as everything they stand for has proven to be wrong. So, Brother Lee Grant, that is what it's all about. It's not about trying to alienate half the country. And by the way, it isn't half the country. It's the people that are really, really fooled and hoodwinked for Trump are 30-something%. But a lot of people vote for Trump for economic reasons. In other words, they don't give a damn about anybody else. They just know that if they vote for Trump and Trump stays in, and as much as Trump is going to wreck the economy, their personal economy may do better. Because it's like right now, if you own the S&P 500, you look great. But the S&P 500 is 500 companies. There are thousands upon thousands of companies in America, and those companies in America are all going under. And when the customers of all those companies that are going under are likely taken by that 500 companies. And that is why the stock market can look so well compared to the rest of America. I wish we had more time to talk about these issues because they are so very important. And I just feel, that's why I wrote this book as well. This book doesn't only say, hey, this is how you talk to the right wingers. This book gives you the philosophy of, not a philosophy, how the economy actually works, Medicare, I mean, it tells you all this stuff in easy language. It's sort of an addendum to this one. As I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. It has things in an even more palatable way than that particular book has it, as it convinces people and it shows how to do it. Okay, so the question again is the conservative movement a fraud? My answer to that is yes, but it's not the conservative people that are frauds or deplorables or anything like that. I have relatives that are conservatives and I love them dearly. So we have to understand, however, to tell folks the truth, but in a way that you show them quite a bit of respect. All right, there's something that turned me on yesterday while I was watching the Democratic convention. And I want you to see this. I speak on it, so I won't go elaborate anymore. You just take a look at this, and then we'll take it from there. Today, Joyanne Reid, MSNBC's Joyanne Reid, gave a soliloquy about America you've got to listen to, and then we'll take it on the other side.
For me, it's all personal. I mean, this is a huge accomplishment for this country. I mean, think about the fact that this entire convention thus far, I think, is such an affirmation of what America can be and what it has become and the distance we've come. We're in the 400-year, commemoration of the 1619 arrival of enslaved people, 16 enslaved people from Africa in this country. And look at what we've done. We elected a black man as president who then puts an older white man from, I think he's not even, is he greatest generation? I mean, he's from, I think, the silent generation, right?
He's born in 1942, so he's a war baby. He's pre-boomer.
He's pre-boomer. And he picks this pre-boomer man who says, I'm going to go ahead and be second to this black guy. And then that guy turns around and picks the first woman who's not just the first black woman, but the first Asian American woman, and who's also got that Caribbean root, which I share, so I'm extremely proud, and all of our Caribbean folks are extremely proud of that. She's got the little Jamaican in there. And, the fact that we could do that and that assembled at this convention was, American Samoa got to show out, and all of our, Kansas was also equally showing out. And we saw everything from the cornfields out west to Maryland, where we're like, Harriet Tubman, that is actually the potential America has always had. And they didn't intend to have it. The men who formed this country had no intention of even making their wives a little more than property. Like, they were fine with their own wives being basically property. And they accidentally created a country that can have this convention. I'm proud of this country because of what I'm seeing. Forget the partisan part of it. Forget being a Democrat, Republican. It doesn't matter. I think anyone who cares about America and who loves this country should feel extremely proud of the vision that we've seen of what America has the potential to be if we let it.
That is so beautiful. And the question is, why is it that Donald Trump and his minions, what makes them so afraid of that America? Did you see the joy in everybody's eyes? Did you see the joy in joy? And the reason I'm saying that is, it's such a good feeling, right? And what does Trump want to do. He wants you to believe that somehow having an inclusive America, an America where everybody is happy, nobody feels to be in dominion of the other, is somehow something is wrong. That's a disease. That's a cancer. Think about that. This is America. This is what America was destined to be in the long run. And you know what? We'll be damned if we let a low-lying piece of you know what, and I don't normally speak like this, but we won't allow him to destroy America. We won't allow him to destroy America. No how, no way. So yeah, I was just so touched when I saw Joyanne say that, because you could see the happiness. I mean, she was happy because, for one, she saw, first of all, a woman of color becoming a vice presidential candidate. You know, it was like, you know how long we would, I mean, everybody wants to be represented. And, you know, for those people who talk about, well, you're playing identity politics when you talk about a black woman being on the ticket or whatever, it's not that. I can tell you, because of what society has done to people based on pigmentation, there's a certain human affirmation that is needed by many. Just like when Obama became president, that I want you to listen to my next interview that I'm bringing on with our brother Shepard here, Justin Sheppard, because you're going to hear it in this kid's voice. Obama became president when he was a kid. And you're going to hear what he has to say. But beforehand, I want to play one other piece here with Hallie Jackson, because when I talk about feeling good, she's another one that, just because of her understanding, made me feel very positive. Check this out. Don't dare tell me America isn't changing. Don't dare tell me that people aren't becoming more aware. Don't dare tell me that our young people, the ones that are coming up now, or millennials, or Gen Xers, or and all these other, or Gen Zs, don't tell me that they don't see the real picture, because I tell you what, that's who I work with the most. And what I find is that they're well aware, and I want to show you something that normally you wouldn't see on an MSNBC or a CBS or ABC from a host. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
I wanted you to meet this little girl. She's the reason I've been out for a bit. This is Monroe, my new daughter. She was born on March 9th. But when she left the hospital 2 days later, thank you, Frank, it felt like Frank and Ro and I were walking into the apocalypse scene in a virus disaster movie. Remember that day Tom Hanks announced he had COVID? The NBA suspended its season. The president delivered a primetime pandemic address. And you know what happened 2 days after that, on March 13th? Police officers killed Breonna Taylor, an injustice that is now part of a national reckoning over race, demanding that people like me confront their privilege. And for a new mom, here's one. I'm alive, and so is my kid, and if the color of my skin were different, I'd be twice as likely to have died giving birth. That is an outrageous public health disparity. And so are the disparities we're seeing with the coronavirus. All of which is to say, that week in March changed my world, sure, but it changed everybody's. And the question has been and is now how we handle it. How we hold ourselves accountable, how we do the work, and especially how we hold our leaders accountable, our lawmakers, our president. That is why I am glad to be back with you at work with plenty of it ahead. Thank you for being here with me.
I tell you why this is important. And I've been talking to a lot of people about this. Since this pandemic started, I see a lot of people on TV with their laptops and their kids around, and they're saying things like how difficult it is that they have to be with their kids and their laptops on the desk, and they're working from home, and the monotony of working from home, and all these kinds of things, right? And I looked at a friend and said, let me tell you something. These people are out there complaining about how difficult it is, right? These are the people that don't have to be working at the grocery stores. They don't have to be working, serving food or anything like that. In other words, they're not considered the essential workers, but they're the highest paid workers. And many of them you see on TV, which is the ones that ABC and CBS put on the morning shows. Oh, this mother with her laptop, she wants to get back to work because it's so boring here, or, you know, you can't do a lot of work with the kids around. And then I saw this today when Hallie Jackson comes out. She was on maternity leave. She got good maternity leave. She got good care for her kid. And she didn't come out and say, I am glad to be back because, you know, it's time to be back or anything. In other words, she wasn't just self-serving. She saw her privilege. She saw that she had it better than most. And it wasn't a sense of guilt in her words. It was a sense in, why not this for everybody else? And that is what we're fighting for. That is what we're fighting for. Everybody can have a decent quality of life. If we didn't allow the type of gradation that we have, where you have a 1% that is taking just about everything, within the 9% that's the guarding the gates to make sure that they are protected. We pay them very well to keep the super well paid and the pilferers protected. And then the next 10% of 20%, we make them whole. And the rest cannot see a $400 bill without panicking. What Hallie Jackson, I know Hallie Jackson she probably was not thinking a whole lot of what I'm saying right now. Not specifically, but inside her. The fact that she came out with that type of a statement says a whole lot about the character of people who would then be there when we are making the changes necessary. They wouldn't be there to stop it. They wouldn't put barriers in front of those that are attempting to make life better for all. We need a whole lot of her, more of her. And I tell you what, a lot of people in her generation, that is how they think as well. Absolutely. So that was another thing. Rose, I'm going to talk about that after we have Justin. But let me go ahead and play the interview for today. This is Justin. Actually, Justin is a longtime friend of the family. You'll hear about it. We'll go ahead and play that and then take it on the other side. Welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. As you guys know, we've been going through the series People Making a Difference. People Making a Difference. And we have Justin Sheppard here with us. Justin Sheppard grew up here in the Houston, Texas area, and I've known him a very long time, from the time he was in elementary school all the way through college, out, and now with his own radio show. Justin, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good. Look, I promise you, I'm trying not to do the misters and the old school mindset, but I'm doing well today. How about yourself?
I am doing fine. First of all, Justin, tell me a little bit about yourself, because, you know, I've been intrigued with how you've just you've been to college and just taken things into your own hands. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so Justin Sheppard, I'm 23 years old. I reside here in Houston, Texas. Currently, right now, I have my own media company called Talented Ones. It consists of a few content promotions. We have the Talented Ones website. We have a radio show right now that's on 92 Kills every Saturday from 2 to 4. We also have the Talented Ones, the YouTube page right now, which has exclusive interviews with up-and-coming talent when it comes from you have from artists to business, up-and-coming businesses, CEOs, to creatives, to athletes, to anybody just out there on the rise, and even some solidified names. We're just doing creative interviews and styling. We have a freestyle section for our up-and-coming rappers and artists to come and showcase their talent. And we also have this radio show excerpts from our radio show that we record from me and my co-host, and we put them on YouTube as well. So we just have my brand company just has a multitude of content to just really push people out there under the Talented Ones brand.
Now, when I knew you went to school. Where did you go to school again?
I went to Sam Houston State University, a proud alum.
There you go. And
Shout out to the Bearcats.
There you go, them Bearcats. And let me ask you something. Now, what did you study?
So I studied mass communication. I minored in marketing, so broadcasting and radio, cameras, all everything like that. That's been stuff I wanted to do since I was little. So it was just a dream to go to a school that's actually one of the best schools in Texas, because it's the Dan Rather School of Communication. So for that to even to go through that program, come out to even meeting Dan Rather, it was just my college experience was a great experience.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about that, because while we had a little chat a few days ago, you were telling me a story about a project that you did, and I thought that project was pretty intriguing. I think it had something to do with dating. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that, so that people can kind of get a flavor of the stuff the kind of stuff, the range of things that you do.
Okay, so the project that you're talking about was we had to do a film project. We had to come up with our own little short film. When I say short film, I would say like a 10-minute film, like very short. And so the idea that I had with my group was the term shooting your shot. And if you don't know what shooting your shot is, it's kind of like just trying to go approach somebody that you like. We took the idea kind of off of social media. It was a popular term everyone was using. I was using it. My friends was using it. Everybody was using it. And it just became an idea to use that in the short film. I was like, okay, we're in college. Let's talk about this culture of shooting a shot. Let's talk about the fact that sometimes in my mind, I was like, okay, well, dudes always go up to girls and try to go approach them. But then sometimes females weren't trying to just go approach a guy because I don't know why. So we just dug deep into like trying to figure out why people do what they do in the sense of trying to approach somebody. So we just made that a real fun, lighthearted project, and it came out really well. We talked to professors. We talked to students on campus just walking by. We really dug deep into it just to get a perspective. From age-wise perspective and just everything. So it was a great time.
No, I imagine you got a good grade on that one.
I did. I think I got an A. I want to say I got an A. I want to say, but I really think I think we did get an A out of the project. It came out very well. It was very lighthearted. We came up with skits for it, everything.
Now,
because when you're filming, especially trying to get 10 minutes qualities, we have to do a lot.
Yeah, people don't understand that a lot of times when you're doing this video thing, and even if you've got 20-30 minutes of material, all of that has to get condensed down into a 10-minute period, and it can take quite a bit of skill to do that.
Yeah, it's definitely a way more difficult to shoot, because for 10 minutes, it took us like a week to get 10 minutes worth of footage from different angles, different times of the day, getting people's schedules to coincide, to ask them to be on the film. It really did take a lot, but when you get to sit down and look at the product that you do create, it was definitely worth it.
Great. Well, let's go into a little bit of what you do now. You interview up-and-coming artists. Some of them are already established. Why did you decide to go in that direction?
So
as it turns out, you help a lot of people, and this segment that I do here is about young people helping people, and you give a lot of people quite a bit of exposure through your network.
Right, definitely. So, it's crazy. Like, the idea came when I was a freshman in college. I just stopped playing football. I was a football player first at Sam Houston. So I just stopped playing, but growing up wise, I was a poet. I would go around Houston and perform with my high school. And it was so funny because we ended up getting into kind of introduced me into the fine arts world, because we were performing at different places and opening my eyes to different things. So when I stopped playing football, I don't know, I was in the cafeteria just sitting one day. I was like, you know what? I want to make a website for like just poets. I don't know why. It was just like the first thing that came to my head. I want to make a website for just poets to get exposure and get out there. And then after that, it just expanded. I was like, you know what, maybe it shouldn't just be poets. Maybe, you know, it should be like artists and creators and business owners. It just kept growing. And it was just a website. I didn't even think to put it on camera at first. After that, what I ended up doing was Dixon. So I got her, she had a camera, and I told her, I said, I'll buy you some food court, try to record this interview. She said, sure. So we were, you know, drove to Sam Houston. We recorded about 3 interviews there. 2 of the interviews we didn't use, but the one interview that we kind of got down packed with, it was no extra sound in it. After the editing was done, I put it out there on YouTube, and it got almost about 500 views. So once it got some attraction, because for me, the way I looked at it was like, okay, this is 500, almost 500 people wanted to look at me have a conversation with somebody else. So I was like, okay, well, if I can get this attraction, maybe I can continue doing this thing since it hit. To me, that was a hit. Like, to me, that was like a hit, especially for it to be the first video I've ever put out there and first video on my channel. And it wasn't like I truly pubbed I was doing a YouTube channel. It was like, hey guys, I did this thing with a brand I'm trying to start up called Talented Ones, to go check it out. It wasn't even too much of I pushed it out there. So it was, to me, that was a hit. So I just kept going from there.
Well, I mean, it's a hit if you don't put a lot of effort into something and people like the product that you put out, it is definitely a hit. Now, you mentioned about poets. I forgot to say that in my preamble, that you're also a poet. In fact, you have a book of poetry with a whole lot of solid pieces out there. I will always ask your dad, how comes you've never turned that into a book?
Eventually one day, but I think it's more of the thing of I keep writing, and I've been writing my whole life. Like, I think I started writing in middle school, but I just keep writing over different things. So it's more of the thing is that I haven't sat down and just figured out what I want to put out there, because I keep writing different things, and you see something different, and different times you just write. So it's really, one day I'm gonna just sit down and just put everything together and go put a book out there. But until then, right now it's just keep writing, and it's therapeutic, and I love it. You know, I love to hear it too, but right now, whenever I get a chance to like really sit down and get the book together, like, I'm going to do it.
Now, when you write, what kind of things do you write about?
I want to say it just depends on the mood. It's really more of like, I like storytelling. I definitely, sometimes like it'll just be random ideas. Sometimes it's not even stuff that's related to me. It could be stuff that's going out in the world. Something I read, something I thought about, something I watched on TV.
I think a lot of people refer to that sort of like abstract writing. Tell me a little bit now, when we discussed some of these things a few days ago, we're also talking about politics. How do you and your generation feel right now about the current politics that we're in?
I think that with my current generation, I think the one thing that people are realizing right now is that you have to take politics seriously, because it's kind of a conversation that happens, but it doesn't really happen. It's like a passing conversation. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not a forefronted one. But I think what happened was, with my generation, we kind of grew up, because, you know, Obama got in office in 2008 and we were little. So you see that, and you knew that was a big stamp, but you knew that was a big moment. But for 8 years, I want to say I was in 6th grade when Obama got in office. I want to say.
It was about 12 years ago, somewhere around there, about 12 years ago. So you would have been 11.
Okay, so 11, so 6th grade. 6th grade. So in the 6th grade, Obama got in office. So for 11 till I was 8 years later, 19.
Right.
Obama was in office. So politics was Obama, you know. Okay, you were learning different things. So now that we're older, now that we kind of have a gist of how the office should be ran, because anything before Obama was kind of like the Bush era. You heard about, you learned about it, but you weren't putting the pieces together. Obama's when you were learning, okay, this, you know, okay, I liked how this was ran. I might not like how this was run, but I like how this was run. But this is how it should be. This is how it shouldn't be. And you started really going into the details of how. Then, you know, we have Trump. Oh, okay, I saw Obama up here, and so now it's like the compare and contrast differences. And I think now more than ever, people are really getting into politics now, just the conversation of it, because one, we're older, but two, we've seen a day and night comparison of what you would like and what you wouldn't like in some people's minds.
No, it's interesting because I imagine with somebody your age, when you see the competence of Obama and Obama being a black man being the president, and then
Right.
you see a Donald Trump and you see somebody that can barely speak English be the president, and you know the tribulations you go through as a young black man in this country. How does that really make you feel? Do you see the disparity that how could he become president?
Yeah, I think, yes, sir. I think it's one of those things where it's frustrating, but then at the same time, it's like I wasn't surprised when Trump got into office, when I saw how he was running his campaign, because as much as it is as non-tasteful as it was and as ugly as his campaigns were, and how little sense it made the market that he attacked, I was like, oh, I see what he's doing. And he was pulling out America's, I guess, true colors in a sense.
Right.
He was really tugging on that. And as much as I find it a disgust, he tugged America's true colors, and that came out and voted. But I will say the one thing that did hurt us in this past election, which definitely won't hurt us in this 2020 election, because I think we get it now, is that people didn't go out and vote. And I'm talking about my generation didn't go out and vote. They didn't take it seriously. I think the thing we see now is that you see what happens when we don't take it seriously.
Let me ask you this then. Are you saying that this time around, from what you've seen with the people that you've talked to, that your generation intend to be a part of the politics this year?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm talking about 110%. It's almost like if you don't go vote, it's almost a fight. Like I can't. I'm almost like I won't be your friend if you don't go and vote this year. Like
So
it's that serious.
Wow. I mean, you just made my day, because there are more of you, Gen Zs and and millennials, than anybody else in any big population. So that makes a whole lot of sense. Well, look, by the way, I don't know if you remember this, but we all went to Washington, D.C.
We did.
In 2008 for the Obama inauguration.
Yes, sir. We definitely did. That's actually one of like the fondest memories I do have from childhood, because it was one of those things where you understand you're in history right then, but when you get older, it's like I was really at this moment in time that this documented moment of time that might not happen again for a minute, one, and two, it was just a great atmosphere. Being just to be honest with you, just to be black in America, and just as a black man, seeing another black man become president really showed the strides to okay, I can really do anything I want to do in my with my life. Because being in sixth grade, I was 11 years old. I was like, that's the influential years of me growing up. So seeing that and seeing just the excellence and how everything was just going on out there, and the culture, and you saw everybody else happy. I'm seeing black faces smiling from grin to grin, walking down the street. Everyone's just happy. They were selling Obama everything: Obama water, Obama beanies, Obama shirts, Obama socks, anything. So that was a great time. Like, I actually remember that trip like through and through, like almost like it was a movie the entire time.
Well, Justin Sheppard, it was my pleasure to speak to you. I'm going to put your website and all your information on our site to get people going out there. You've grown up to be a wonderful young man. Please keep doing what you're doing.
You.
And because I tell you what, you are going places, and I've watched some of your interviews that you do with these different stars, etc. And I think you're very good at what you do.
I do want to say one more thing, though. First of all, thank you for inviting me onto your platform. You're definitely doing something I actually watch a lot and study a lot from. So thank you.
And thank you. Like I said, I just seen what you've turned out to be. It's dear to my heart. So thank you.
Subscribe to Politics Done Right. Go to Talented Ones on YouTube and go subscribe to us. We have a lot of great things coming out in 2020 and the remainder of this year.
Thank you very much, Justin Sheppard. That just, I watched that kid grow up from he was a kid and now he's 23 years old, and it just that he's doing a whole lot of things, and to know that all the people, all his peers are saying, we are not going to allow what occurred that last time to occur again. That made my day because, like I said, we have to go out there and vote. We have to make sure anyone's voting. By the way, folks, if any of you are listening in the Northeast Houston area, I need some help. I'm a precinct chair for 758. We have a lot of people to call. We have a lot of people who may have fallen off the rolls that we need to talk to. So please go ahead and drop me a line, info@politicsdoneright.com, info@politicsdoneright.com, so that we can energize this precincts and all precincts that need energizing. Anybody wants to get a shout out to their people and their precincts, just give me a shout and we'll do that as well. Okay, let's go ahead and welcome my folks. Tank 98, welcome aboard. MAGA baby, Obama treason punishable by death. What does that mean? What does that mean? Anyhow, welcome aboard, Michael Rudnin. Welcome aboard, Paraver Tank 28. Welcome aboard, Daniel Ledo. Welcome aboard, Rose Williams. Welcome aboard, Ilian Deandria. Welcome aboard, Lee Grant. Welcome aboard, AVQ. Welcome aboard, folks. We are going to just answer a few questions real quickly. Let's see. Michael Rudnin already left, so I better not touch any of his questions. But Rose said, I have to take the happiness about the ticket with a grain of salt, but it's natural for those who haven't been represented at the upper echelons of this country to celebrate when a member of their nationality, religion, and or race make it to the top of our government. Remember when Kennedy became president? Oh yeah, Catholics really said, yes, a Catholic can actually win. I am with you, Rose. I mean, my thing is, I'm separating that that joy from reality as far as what the ticket really represents. I'm going full-fledged for the ticket. But at the same time, I'm going full-fledged to the ticket with my eyes wide open. I have zero hope that unless we have a movement pushing that ticket, I mean a complete movement, and it can't be a movement just of progressives, right? And that's why in my new book, I talk about issues, right? And what I did, there's a part of the book where I say, all right, this is Medicare for all is our thing. I made the conservative case for Medicare for all. The Green New Deal is our thing. I make the conservative case for the Green New Deal. What I'm trying to say here is I have no expectation that without forcing them, the Biden-Harris ticket is going to do the progressive thing. But the one thing that I am sure about is that if they are pushed, they will. And why am I saying that? Because when Kamala had been pushed for other things, she did it. When Biden had been pushed for other things, he did it. Now, Donald Trump is a different animal. Donald Trump uses a different kind of calculations that is immutable. So what I'm saying is the possibilities that we have with a Biden-Harris ticket, why I tell folks fight for it and fight for it with a landslide, because everybody has buy-in. And then what we have to do as progressives is to go sell our programs that are going to help not just progressives, but most people want our programs. That's a fact. Most people want our programs. And what we will do is to go ahead and work hard. This is just the beginning. The first thing is we get him out of there. The second thing is not to sit down and believe that somehow these guys are a panacea and ready to work for us. They're not. But we have good people. Rose Williams, we've got you. Michael Rudnin, we've got you. All you folks are going to be out there. We are going to be doing what has to be done to get what we need done. So anyhow, we are at the end of the program, and I hadn't gone ahead and make my pitch yet, so I have to make my pitch because we have to stay alive somehow. So what I want to ask you guys, folks, is if you're listening, whether you're on a podcast or whether you're listening live, we get about, 4,000 or 5,000 people live, and then most of the other folks are podcasts altogether. Let's do this. Please go ahead. Norman Reynolds, Egberto, talk a bit about burning the lifeboats. It's not personal. It's about not swallowing self-aggrandizing revisionist history that removes personal responsibility to willful dissent. Oh, damn right. My brother Reynolds, talk a bit about burning the lifeboats. It's not personal. Yes, you're absolutely right. I wish you would have called in and do that, but I don't have the time right now, brother. Why do you do this to me? Norman, let's do this. Let's tackle, because that's a very in-depth thing that you're talking about right there. And I would prefer for us to sit on a phone when you call into the program to talk about that, because you and I have actually touched on that before. So let's do that mañana. We got a deal? Let's do that mañana. I know you're going to be here, so let's do that mañana. Okay, folks. Folks, don't forget, that is Norman's subject. Norman's going to take the lead on that subject. All right. Please, folks, please support Politics Done Right by supporting us on Patreon. That is Patreon. It is Patreon, politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Support us on PayPal by going to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. That is politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. If you're on if you're on YouTube, you can hit the $ and give us a super chat. We love those as well. Just give us a super chat and we'll be able to, you're helping to keep us afloat, to keep us alive. You can also go to politicsdoneright.com/Facebook. That is politicsdoneright.com/Facebook. Facebook has recently allowed us to take memberships on Facebook. That one is going pretty slow, so we need your support there. If you can say, you know what, I want to go ahead and support Egberto on Facebook. Okay, and then of course you can visit our store, politicsdoneright.com/store, where you can get our cups. This is just one of them. This is just the one that says Politics Done Right, but we have some that says I support independent media. We have some that has the squad on it. We have t-shirts with independent media, the squad, all that good stuff on it. We also have my books. My 3 books are there now. As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. We also have Lose Weight and Be Fit Now. I've had my weight problems. I've solved my weight problems for all practical purposes, though my daughter said, hey, Daddy, you should eat a little bit more. No, I'll gain too much weight. Anyhow, and of course, my new book, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. And I'm going to put that link on the screen right now, or rather in the chat. Please get the book. That also helps us with Politics Done Right. I mean, I wrote the book. I really rushed the book out. I had to skip over the other book that you guys know about, which is How to Make America Utopia. I skipped over that one because I think this book could make a difference. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. If you have a book club, contact me. Let's go ahead and get a book, and then I'll talk to you guys on Zoom in a book club. I'll do whatever it takes to get this message out. If you have a conservative book club that you're in, tell them to join up and tell them when you're done reading the book, in a week or two, whatever it takes you guys, I will appear in a Zoom with you, and you guys can tear me up as much as you want. You can roast me. You can do whatever you want. But I want a lot of folks reading this book from the beginning to the end, because it's a lot of material. I spent a lot of time making sure to make the material as concise as possible. We got it down to 231 pages, and it's a quick 231 pages to read. Folks, my name is Egberto Willies. Thank you so kindly for having been here. You know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.